Let's welcome Who's That Meta Deck? Good day, Tamers. Welcome back to another Who's That Meta Deck with me, Nagito Swiftly. As you've seen, I've put up a few 10 deck lists before BT5 format came out, and I'm going to end BT5 format with some of the actual decks that are winning these tournament scenes. Now, some of these are variants of the decks I've already posted, so we won't really have to do with that. But this deck today is actually a deck that I didn't really see coming, just because of how kind of different it really is from the original deck of its same type. And that is the low brain cell power of Rocky Rush. Now, I took this to the store championship today, and the only player that I played against who could beat me was the even low IQ, dead brain cell, smooth-headed Lord Nightmare players. Now, everyone's just left me this dislike. It's okay. We understand that you need really easy decks to play, and Rookie Rush is probably the next hardest deck that you'd be able to master. So, thank you for leaving already, you Lord Nightmare players. But, nonetheless, this is the best deck for losing friends and winning locals, because it doesn't take a lot of brain power, and it definitely doesn't do a lot more than just winning games. So, we're going to go into the babies, and it's all the draw power you need / get in this deck. And the reason why this is more of the budget version of this deck. You can go a bit more crazy. You can make this like a £150 deck if you can get your hands on the Porcemons. Obviously, after all the EVO tournaments that are happening currently right now, Porcemons will be hitting the market a bit more, but I don't think the prices are going to shift too much. So, in this deck, we have 4 Upmons and 1 Koromon. Now, it's your choice. You can either play the Koromon, you can play the Pikmon. I prefer the Koromon. You are probably more likely to have the free Digimon on the field at some point, so you could use Pikmon's effect to destroy something on the field. It is a low cost, such as like a Toy Agumon or a Shoutmon, but personally I prefer the Koromon because in yellow you generally want to stay around the 3 or lower mark anyway. But yeah, draw power from Upmon is basically the only draw power you get in this deck, so essentially you swing for whichever Digimon you have on top of it. You hope that you survive. If you don't, but you're probably going to get a draw anyway if you're at 3 or fewer security. Then we're going to go into the Goon Squad. So this is the lineup I had. It's not the best lineup. There are other ones, as I've said before. You probably want to play 4 of the Porcemons if you have them available to yourself, or if you can ask a friend to give them to you. Because at 3 security, being a 2 cost and getting a draw is fantastic, and that's an on-play effect. So you do essentially want to play Mr. Yellow Sonic over here as much as possible. Free security for a long time. You can get that essentially 8 drops if you're playing 4, and then there's 4 draws. It's pretty nice. Feels pretty good if your opponent just gives you a lot of memory at some point because they're trying to figure out what to do with you. Got 2 of the Salmons that are on deletion effects, which is the recover the deck, which could be pretty good if you're getting lower towards the 2 or 1 mark, or even the 0 mark. Or maybe if you just worry about your opponent going for a game, try and get the 4th security back just to keep yourselves going for another round. Got 4 of the Falcomons. These are kind of MVPs. They're 2 cost to drop down, do 5,000 DP. You'll be surprised how many things you'll hit in security that if they just basically aren't megas, will essentially just walk over things. Really good. The Cutemon. This is kind of here for the opponent can't reduce Digivolution costs. This is great against green. Green is still kind of messing the meta. That means Digisorption costs actually cost you to tap a card, as well as having to actually pay the cost of the evolution. So you're essentially making them tap a card for no reason. Same thing with Hidden Potential Discovered. Now, I've asked a judge about this before, and essentially you don't have to declare that you have that effect on the field until after they use the card they're going to do. Most people are pretty good and don't actually do this, but essentially if you are playing in a tournament, and that includes Store Championship, you can't take back anything you do action-wise. Starmon's here just essentially because you will get big boards at some point during these games. I think at one point I had a 5-man board, played a Starmon, wiped a blocker off the field, and then played again, and then wiped another blocker off the field because I had 6 cards on the field, and Starmon is not a joke. And these 2 cards are here pretty good. 2 costs to play. Again, just cheap costs here. The only real ones that you want to sort of play on a baby would normally be the Salamons, just because they're so costly. But if you have to, Cutemons are also a pretty good one to get the babies rolling. Now, for our green side of things, so we have the Jungle Troopers, which is the Oromons and the Laleos. So, again, these are just 2 costs, and the big 5 boys bodies. Again, a lot of people don't really think, why do you play green in this deck? And that's because you get to have different options in your decks. So, something you've got to get pumped up for. So, sometimes you've just got to have the extra play costs or the higher DP, because if you're playing against green, you have to worry about Nidhogg dropping. If you're playing against things like Diboromon, if you don't have an evolution source, which can be helpful, if it's a 3 cost or less and they use, I think it's Ultimate Flare, you don't get bounced back into the trash, which is helpful, which is essentially why I play the Vegemon. The Vegemon has a 4 cost to drop down, but so it doesn't get affected by Diaboromon's Ultimate Flare. The 5 ones here is just because it's a cheap cost blocker. We could play the Capitramons in here, but I do want to see as much yellow as possible in case we do have to Spy Masquerade early on, even though I think the next card is pretty much one of the better ones in here. And then for the final section, we're going to have Guerrilla Warfare. We have 2 of the Blinding Rays, essentially getting yourself to that free marker very early. Have 3 TKs. You can play 4 TKs in here if you want to. It's just for whatever reason in this deck, I found at the time I felt that 3 was good. And in all fairness, I generally saw a TK every single game I played. And I think only once was it ever in the security. 4 Spy Masquerades. This is your removal. This is essentially when you have a big board, you just need to get their presence off the board because, as you know, it triggers per Digimon. If you have 6 Digimon on the field, and they've got 2 blockers, or they've got like a big boy and a block or whatever, you can just basically wipe their board clean, and they can't really do much besides get complaining, which essentially is very common if you're playing yellow decks. Needle Spray, fantastic card. The amount of times that I will swing for game because I will suspend their blocker and they can't do anything about it is ridiculous. This card, maybe you want to go 3 and 3 for Spiral and Needle Spray. It's a very good card. It's very underrated and it's very much not seen, especially when you randomly shout Prickly Bang Bang at your opponent and look at you like, what the hell's wrong with you? And you realise, oh right, English. But that's the Guerrilla Warfare deck. And that's essentially it, guys. There's nothing really special about this deck. It's a Rookie Rush deck. It's cheap. It's durable. The only issues you're probably going to have is Lord Nightmon, just because Lord Nightmon has so much access to just so much removal in terms of DP reduction. It is very awkward. But if you can get past all that, which sometimes you can, it's not a terrible one. And then if you're playing against Diabolmon is the only other big threat you have because it will bounce your whole board if everything gets 2 cost or less. And then also as third of all, you have Hexablaumon. But what you can do with Hexablaumon, if you know you're playing against Hexablaumon, is try and swing in super early. Get your stuff basically to where you need to be. And then if you can, evolve up into your champion forms and start swinging again, because they can't stop you if you're already... If you're a rookie on your turn and then go to a champion, you'll have yourselves the evolution sources, and the effect from Hexablau doesn't affect you anymore. So, with that being said, Tamers, thank you for being here. This is one of the weirdest decks that I've seen during this format, although when we get closer to the purple-yellow decks, I do think we will see purple-yellow Rookie Rush, as there's very similarities between what Rookie Rush needs and what Rookie Rush currently has. The only difference is you will be losing out on Needle Spray, but those be the breaks. So, see you for the next one, Tamers, and hopefully you have a good, great time. Any tournaments you can get your hands on, you can win, and hopefully see you around. So, have a good night. Goodbye.